Your version of the truth is all that matters.
Truth is singular. Its versions are mistruths.
You're the interrogation of the final window. Your version of the truth is all that matters.
Truth is singular. Its versions are mistruths.
Good evening, fellow travelers. Welcome to Awake and Activate. We're going to do a live new normal call-in show. I played the intro twice because I do not know how to turn off the commercials in the beginning. So anybody that knows how to do that, please let me know. So there's nothing worse than trying to start a live stream and have commercials play right away. It's a bit annoying, to tell you the truth. Let me know if my sound is coming through and you guys are able to hear me. But the term "the new normal" has been tossed around on. I've heard it on several different platforms. And what is your new normal? And this, I know that Friday nights there are so many that go live and do call-ins and want to interact with each other, but this will not be the regular day. I'm just kind of trying to get my rhythm back on coming in and talking with the people that come over and actually spend time on my platform and reignite our relationships with one another and all the wonderful things that we all experience and can share. This goes along with that, I'm calling it hypercube, or we can call it hyper loops of different realities and paradigms, and how they all actually are so important based on how we're experiencing and where we're at and what we share on opening up our perspective, our heart, our mind into creating what we want to see in life, rather than having things being projected at us and then we create it, but creating it from within us and then looking around outside of us and seeing where our heart is, where our mind is, and the things and the tools that we all have within us to make this place a better place for everyone, not just a certain select few that sit at the top of a pyramid, or the way things used to be. And many of us have been on this journey, going through these different paradigms and these different mind melting, mind blowing understandings and understandings about ourselves, who we truly are, and what we can do. It's just phenomenal, and a phenomena all wrapped into one. It's just absolutely amazing what we are actually able to do. So instead of, creating what is projected at us, we are learning to project from our heart and our mind. And then when you look around outside of you, that is what you're seeing. What is going on within is what you're seeing going on around you in your natural life. I'm not talking about what you see on the news or the media or any of that. I'm talking about when you're walking through your daily life. Are you seeing beautiful skies? Are you seeing beautiful rainbow clouds? Are you seeing beautiful flowers? And how are people acting in your direct contact with this realm? Not what is being told to you, but what you're actually experiencing, seeing, and sharing. And as we know, with this hypothesis that I've been, thinking on, pondering on for quite some time, it is not a hypothesis of one. It is a hypothesis that includes all of us. Each and every one of us have a say-so in what is going on in what we're experiencing and how we share it with one another. It's actually quite beautiful when you get to the fundamental basics that are within us. So I often think about sky watchers and the images that they take and are able to share with us through their platforms. When you look at what they are actually capturing on their camera and sharing with us, it is a glimpse into what they are actually experiencing and able to have one-on-one with this realm. So with that said, let me open up the phone lines, and because I know it takes a while before people get the courage up to call. I'm going to try and make this call-in show on a Wednesday as soon as my husband goes to work, around 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, and then so that way you guys will know when to look for it. So just in case notifications don't go out and things like that, you'll know that I am actually live and taking calls, because we're all in this together. So I'm going to open up my conference, and you guys, I don't know if you can hear that because I don't have desktop audio on yet.
This free conference call is provided by Uber Conference. You are the first participant
Yeah,
in this Uber
it is on.
Please hold while we wait for the others to join.
Sorry about that, guys. Okay, now what I want to do is we're going to move our good vibrations out of the way so I can bring up the phone number and stuff for you guys. Be patient. I'm really trying to get this all lined out to make it easier on you guys and easier on me to make it smoother. Trying to make this as smooth and fun and interactive as possible. Okay, so the phone lines are open. In the meantime, let me do a little shout out, since we actually do have a few people here. Oh, My Skies 5D. Was he Dusty Blue, Go Kart Bob? Thank you guys, and YOLO X. Thank you guys for coming in. Now, how many of you guys have actually heard the term the new normal? Even on television, they talk about the new normal, like how are we going to interact or where we're going to go from here. We're going into a new normal. This makes me think about a lot of the things that many of us have been going through with Mandela effect, multiple timelines, multiverse, simulation, just so many theories and phenomena and all going on simultaneously within all of us, but they're also, linked in together in the oneness. So, what is our new normal going to look like for us? What's it going to possibly look like for other people? And has anybody thought about how this, time that people are spending at home with their families without all of the background noise of going to work, the hustle and bustle of your, daily lives, that we were kept so busy that we didn't have the time to introspect and to spend the time with opening up and getting an understanding of who we actually are. I mean, this whole scenario that we are going through, I look at it as like a good thing, that people are having that quiet where they can pray or meditate, or even with their isolation, get to know what's going on within them, understand what is your value system, what is important to you. Loving each other unconditionally as brothers and sisters. Are you creating abundance? Are you losing the fear? Are you moving towards this, like as Dolores Cannon talked about for a long time, the new earth, old earth paradigm splitting apart on, some will be ready to go over to the new earth and others will stay in the old. It's always a choice. And also, when we talk about NPCs or, sheeple or things like that, well, what if I was to tell you that it's not a sheeple or an NPC type of scenario? We could very well be one of those in their reality, as our dominant consciousness has moved on to another. So people won't actually vanish on us. What'll happen is they'll seem like background people or NPCs in the reality that our dominant consciousness is now active in. And vice versa. We won't disappear. We will seem like background people. So when we throw around terms like that, we should be careful, because on one end we may be that, and on the other end they may be that. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? I see you guys are chatting away. Let me see what you got saying in there. Yes, namaste, everybody. It takes 21 days to make a change in habit, good, bad, indifferent. Best to take, I'm trying to read this on the other screen. I may have to pop over to the other where I can see the chat more clearly. Takes it as a positive for the well-being minus the fear base. Yeah, that's a really good comment there, Dusty Blue. Really like that. Yeah, this ain't normal. Go-kart Bob. No, what they're calling the new normal, some of the things that that they're propagating as the new normal is the children now are looking at black screens, which are like, television and computer, which we can use those tools to the benefit of one another, but others can use those tools as a control paradigm. So now if you've got the children no longer interacting with one another and just staring at a computer screen, and that's where they're getting their education, they're no longer learning how to get along with people of their same age group. And that's a big part of going to school, is to learn how to, be around other people who may not have the same exact ways of thinking or being or understanding or understanding their way of expressing themselves, and how we grow tolerance and patience and unconditional love for other diverse cultures, because none of that should cause us to divide. These are things that are important to unite us, to bring us together as the oneness. This new normal I am for homeschooling. I'm not against homeschooling. I am against the school putting a device in front of your child and calling that an education. So homeschooling is where, mom and dad are actually, educating you and teaching you. But still, when you're doing homeschool, where you're doing the accreditation, where it actually counts as an education with a diploma and things like that, they still would have interaction with other children that are either enrolled in school or homeschooling. So it wasn't complete separation where you're just looking at a device. And it's just this new normal, it's just, what are we going to create as our new normal? And the phone lines are open, and I know it's always the first caller is always the most nervous, but hey, everything's on the table. I may not agree 100% with what you are expressing and sharing, but that's okay. There's none, I have no bias on what anybody shares. I glean from every single person. No matter what they're sharing, I glean from it. So, and I'm sure that a lot of you guys do also. So anyways, hello, the consciousness evolution. And the conscious evolution, I'm sorry. Yes, that is what I'm looking at as the new normal. And think about this, like I said, the being at home, people spending the time at home in, their isolation. A lot of us, as we're walking through this journey, we had periods of time where we did go inward into our heart and get an understanding of what is going on. And with the Mandela effect showing so many changes and how fluid things are, it really brought out some huge truth to what you're able to do as the sovereign, beautiful, divine being that you are. So, yes, phone lines are open. And remember, the one that I use can hold, I think, up to 5 or so calls at a time. Just stay muted until the conversation ends, and then I unmute you, and then we'll move forward in that direction. Let's see. Organizer controls. I forgot to set that up. Okay. We are good. So, what is the new normal for you? I'm going to look at it on the white screen. It's just easier for me to read the chat that way. So what is your new normal? I know, like I said, when you look at Skywatchers and what they're sharing with us from images that they capture, kind of gives us a glimpse into what they're walking through. And it's beautiful. And I have several Skywatchers that are actually listed on my homepage to go and check out, because each of them, although they're looking at the skies, they're different and they're beautiful in their own way. So it's just a wonderful thing. But I'm going to be doing the live call-ins on Wednesday evenings. So because there's a lot of people that, like I said, that go live on Friday and take call-in shows. I'm just trying to get my feet back in the water here and get more proactive with my channel and starting to share information that a lot of us need to know. How many people remember when, I think it was what's his name, Craig Gowdy says, "I don't care if you're an old earther or a new earther," and this was in a Congress summit hearing, and he was demanding answers from the individual. And he's like, I don't care if you're an old earther or a new earther, because he understood that the information and understanding that you had, no matter where you came from, you still have it. The facts don't change within what's going on in your life from your perspective. They're all still there. They're a part of our memories, our history. So, does anybody remember that? Him saying that straight out to that individual that, hey, I don't care if you're an old earther or a new earther. Or let's think about Dolores Cannon talking about the separation. Or let's think about simulation theory or matrix. Calling this a virus right now that is going on may be an appropriate terminology, as what we are actually doing is flushing a virus out of our system to go back to how we are supposed to be, where there is no lack, there's only abundance, and there's plenty for all, and we will relate to each other as brothers and sisters instead of putting up walls and boundaries. We will understand how we are all connected and still a sovereign, unique individual being. Hey, Fifth World, how are you? I love you too, honey. It's a healing purification. Right, love this. Yes, we're purging a virus out. And, I look around at the people that are around me, and I've yet to meet anybody who's actually ill. Now, and if they are, it's very mild, and it comes across like a colder flu type of a thing, which is something that we go through pretty much seasonal every year. We were told here in California that we have herd immunity. Well, the talking heads, this is my opinion on this. When California gave away 500 respirators to other states, in the United States, well, of course, they're going to have to put something over. Why did we do that? Why did we have a lack of need for all these respirators? So they said, well, the virus actually came through in October, November, which is actually normal flu season, and said that we had herd immunity here. So that's why we have lack of cases of this virus cropping up. But what is it like where you're at? Are you seeing the same thing? Do you know anybody directly in your physical life that has, suffered, that doesn't have an underlining, just like the flu? When you have a compromised immune system, you're overstressed, and you don't, understand to talk to your body and take care of your body, that has actually come down with this severe enough to be hospitalized in your personal life. I have nobody. I have not met anybody, and I don't know anybody personally in my direct life. It doesn't mean that people will not be affected with this, because, look on the back of your Lysol can. Coronavirus has been around for a very long time, and it's on the back of our Lysol cans is one of the things that Lysol kills the germs for. So this was long before this anomaly of this strain 19, and realize it's a strain, it's a mutation. As any flu or cold, you can't catch the same one twice, because it has to, you get the antibodies. Your body is a well-made avatar or machine that we inhabit to have our experiences here. So each time, that's why your last year's flu shot won't work this year, because it mutates and has to become something else, because we can't catch the same one twice. So when it's 19, that means it's the 19th strain of this. And to me, in my opinion, it just looks like They separated the stomach flu from the cold, where it used to be under the umbrella of one. They are able to see that one is respiratory, sinuses, cough, sore throat, still with body aches and things, and the other is digestional, stomach. Both will come with fevers because that's your body fighting it off with your wonderful immune system that you already have. But they separated the two because even with the cold respiratory that they're talking about now, if you were to take a drink of water, if you thought you may have come in contact with it and inhaled something or whatever, if you took a drink of water and flushed it down into your stomach acids immediately kills whatever that virus is. So you can kind of get an understanding here that it's so, I know you guys all here understand this, because all they've done is taken the flu umbrella and separated them out and have tried to scare people into submission. And in the meantime, this virus is being purged from the system, and the more time people are spent in their homes, I feel is the more time they get to understand who and what they are and wake up. So thank you, Fifth. And the phone lines are open for anybody to call. And like I said, I'm just trying to, get my feet wet with being more proactive on YouTube and talking to people. Most of you already know it's been a rough year. I got something thrown at me that really knocked me off balance. And so, realize that kind of stuff too. When we're purging a virus, no matter whether it's in our body or we look at it in the larger scope from Gaia or Earth, and we're dumping it and getting rid of it, everything is going to be thrown at us to try to knock us off our balance. But we are able to find that balance again. And once you've got the understanding of what you are through the experiences that you've had, which all tie in together with validity on each and every one, no matter how you're experiencing it, it's just a beautiful thing. Okay, we have got a caller, and let me pull up. Oh, I thought I did. Okay, yes, I do. Clearwater, Florida. Hello, you are unmuted and live. Hi.
Hey, it's the Fifth World. How are you?
Oh, I want to call you by your name, but hi, Fifth
April.
World. Yes, April. How are you, sweetie? I've missed you.
I know, I miss you. I'm really good, thank you.
So what's going
I
on?
had to call.
Oh, yes. What's
I
your...
just had to call.
Yeah, because you have a wonderful outlet, and your perspectives and experiences that I have listened to and took part in some of your streams are phenomenal. So share with what you've realized with the dragons and the different phenomena that you've experienced and the knowledge that you've gained.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. And, you've helped me along that way. So I have you to thank for, a lot of support and positivity and insight. Like you were saying, I think that we, as brothers and sisters, can help each other remember and help each other along the way when we're having these doubts and all this confusion. So, I appreciate you so much.
And likewise, if you have so much to offer and for some reason you felt like you had tape over your mouth and just, some doubt, and there was no need, because what you were saying, what you're experiencing, nobody can tell you or take that from you.
That's so true.
Nobody, once you've had your experiences, nobody can pull those away from you. That is your journey, your walk, and sharing it. I've watched your channel just as you have opened up more and more, open up more and more people and their eyes. So yeah, you wanna update us on where you're at now?
Sure. So, I think that I've had to realize that, not everybody was on the same page as me, or, I had to realize that it was truly my own experience. I'm a big believer that, there's really only one truth. I think that there's many paths to get to that truth, and I think that that I definitely try to respect other people's journeys, but sometimes it's hard to watch because, as I was just talking to another one of our sisters, I see where people are being, they're waking up inevitably, and this is kind of too why I called. There's this apparent like virus, and I loved how you said we go through it every year. It's like a purging, and I loved how you said it's like our perfect kind of avatar just doing its thing. And I do go into things like gematria and for some of my research, and I see messages like that the avatar is perfecting itself right now, and we know of this like transformation that many are undergoing, and I look at it as the light body transformation. And I think that we've been and are being prepared for, the narrative was kind of like, oh, there's going to be a big flash, or like it says in scripture, in the blink of an eye, everyone will be changed. And, we still have yet to see exactly where this is going and what's going to take place. But I believe that we're being prepared, and knowing that it's a molecular shift, I think that's where some of the deception really, really lies heavily, is that this is just some kind of an automatic thing that happens, and that there's no in between, and that there's no preparation, and that, so I think we've just geared up towards, and and in the process, we've been going through a process, and so that's the way I see it. Excuse me. And I do think that the masses are finally, like, we're at a point where there's so many of us holding space in the higher realms and anchoring in light that it's inevitably spreading to the masses. And I guess what would be considered critical mass, or however you want to look at it. So I think that part of this is, it's being shown to be an actual purge of iron from the system. And my research has shown that there was manipulation done at some point, and then continued on, through different avenues of food or products or whatever, that added iron to the human system that probably shouldn't really be there. And what this, does and all of that, we can obviously look into that, but I think none of that really matters because we're healing from it, and that's what's waking us up. And so there's some research that came out the other day, and I couldn't believe that more people didn't hear this truth. And so I documented it on a video that I did a few days ago, and I put the link in the description. It's not necessarily a channel that I would normally recommend, but it had really good information. So it literally was citing the fact that when Donald Trump cut funding to the WHO, that it was because of some kind of an issue with putting people on respirators, and that was the wrong.
I heard the same thing.
And that, that something that I had been saying just from observation, like anytime I would hit a landmark, I would feel this like heaviness in my breathing, or like adjustment in my breathing. It took me like a year and a half to realize that it was some sort of literally like altitude sickness in a way. And I would hit a spiritual landmark, and it's almost like my consciousness was rising on the cosmic spiral of Yeshua that we're all kind of following in. We're following the ones that came before us that have ascended, the ascended masters. And so I figured out, and it's so abstract sounding, but there's now science showing, and this is spirit science showing, that people are experiencing an altitude sickness. So it was almost like my consciousness would rise, and then my body had to catch up to it over the next couple of days. And it took me a long time to put this together and to even try to put it into words, but now it's literally showing in spirit science. So there's all this documentation, and that is what I'm showing on my channel. I'll be glad to send you the links so you can kind of help me understand this too and put this into words. This is like a big puzzle that we're putting back together, and we are building a new world. So this is a really important, I think spirit science is where it's at. I think we've all kind of known that, that it's a mixture of spirituality and science. And so that's where things, I think, might be able to take a very interesting shift. But yeah, so it's literally showing that these people there's a release of iron into the bloodstream. Now, I know from experience that we heal from this. The body does exactly what it needs to, just like you were saying, to overcome this. And it's not something that you need to run and get an answer for. But people are so conditioned to run and almost demand an answer to what is happening to them physically, right?
Yes,
so I don't know what you think about all of that.
When we are, and you can see that. Okay, well, when you look around, what's going on around you? Well, that's the reality that you're dealing with, and if you're not seeing that kind of chaos. But sometimes we may run into an isolated pocket, and when we do, these people do not quite realize that there's no amount of your sovereignty or your freedoms that you can give up for any kind of safety or security. So we need to make sure, and that's why, many people have been going through this journey, and you're right, several different ways, but the truth it will end up all in the same truth basket, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But when we see that, problem, action, solution, come on, nothing is hidden from us. Everything has to, with our free will, it has to be revealed. So if we're asking for them to come in with some kind of a solution, and we're going to give away more of our freedoms, when they say peace and safety, wham, sudden destruction comes upon them. Well, why people ask for a solution from the same people who have created I'd have to call it the phantom fear. So they scare people to the point they're no longer able to make rational decisions, for themselves. So they look to another. But actually, everything we need is within us. And the more of us that see, as this is cropped up now, this I would call it a reset, or that they're calling it the new normal, or like Dolores Cannon, the separation of the earths and things like that. Well, okay, we already can see the handwriting on the wall with these people out there asking outside of themselves for answers or solutions, where that's going to lead. And I often sit there when I'm praying and I'm meditating, I think about, what do I want for grandchildren or great-grandchildren or children, or how are my actions or what I'm doing going to affect them? Am I wanting them to have to carry around papers? Do I want them to have to give away private and personal information so they can feel safe and secure? Do I want to take away their right to assemble? What about, even the simple things like a sweet 16 birthday party? and you can't assemble. You can't, a wedding or, and these funerals that they're doing now, I'll tell you, it's sickening. And that people are okay with this. It's that part, we need to say, okay, that's where we need to use what we know from within us to push back, not be confrontational with the people who are so scared that they're not able to critically think. They need to have the time with themselves so they can, but with this, stay at home thing, not working, not keeping them so busy, it's going to give them time to awaken to the reality. So we don't want this to be a rush type decision. One thing that I look at, April, is when the president comes out and does his daily updates, there is no social distancing. He never wears a mask. And the things that he says, if you just look at him, what the message is, and, you're really good with symbology and reading between the lines. And I've noticed that as time has went on, you are able to vocalize that in a way that is actually understandable to other people when you're showing them, hey, check this out. Read between the lines here. Look at the symbolism here, and you explain it. So don't sell yourself short on that. But with that symbolism right there, he's telling us with our eyes what we see, not what he's saying, but with what he is showing by example, that he's not wearing the mask. They're not 6 foot apart from each other. They're, and there's more than 10 of them in that group when they do those little press conferences and whatnot. So you remember, this is a while ago, when they were trying to say that the toothpaste that came from China was tainted, and they had heavy metals and mercury in the toothpaste, and tried to do that kind of a scare on us, which everybody continued to brush their teeth and go about, and it was nothing but, it was a big nothing burger. Nothing came out of it because of our bodies are just so amazing. This avatar that our spirit, our soul is inhabiting is capable of, all the cells, and they get renewed and they purge all that kind of stuff anyways. So if you fell into that, you may have manifested symptoms within yourself because you're able to, you believed it, it went into your heart, went into your mind, and you manifested it. But it ended up being a big nothing burger. And now they're saying this other virus came from Wuhan and then spread, and it was London, the University of London, that did a simulation and the projections of what this was going to do, what this virus was going to create. And it put out levels of panic that were beyond comprehension. If you've noticed now, I don't watch a lot of media, and I've kind of stepped away from that fear porn a long time ago. I peek in every once in a while just so I know how to put out my energy and my intention. But
Right.
so they are now, believe it or not, they are now having to put the news out on how come nobody is seeing what we wouldn't normally see as a flu type scenario, actually less than a flu type scenario. It's not through the same, we don't catch it the way that they thought we did. They put in numbers into a simulation without knowing how you contract it, and it came out with this astronomical, just horrendous outcome, and they put that out as fact without knowing how we really contract this. Now, everybody that has even basic biology, an understanding of how our body works, has to get into your bloodstream. So when you get vaccinations, the virus is actually injected into your bloodstream, and then it's said to create the antibodies, so you won't, contract this. Well, the only time I ever got seriously ill from any any of these type viruses. The worst ever was the 1 year I got a flu vaccine. I'll never do it again. But it's just what they're putting out there is not matching up with how it is actually panning out for what we're seeing. What my doctor told me was crazy, April. I mean, it was just, oh my gosh, over the top, and not many of us get to see it from what they're being told to do. You know, and he had let me know that, number one, there is a shortage, a huge shortage on even testing people if they have this, I'm just going to call it a cold for YouTube purposes, this cold virus, okay, that is on its 19th mutation. That's why it's a -19. So they don't have the testing equipment, which is, like I said, similar to if you get tested for strep throat, which is bacterial, by the way. So that actually can replicate itself, and that's why you get an antibiotic and it goes away. Where a virus cannot replicate itself, it has to have a host. It has to attach to a living cell. And our cells are so awesomely made. Not only are we constantly creating new cells within our body, but when a virus attaches itself to a cell for a host, our cells will actually self-destruct to kill the virus. That's why chicken noodle soup and bed rest is always what, you know, the doctors tell us to go ahead and do for a virus, because our bodies are more than capable of handling these things. But he said that there's a lack of testing, so you have to get a referral from your doctor to go to one of these places that gives the tests, and then you have to get an appointment whenever they finally can get a test in. The masks are all on back order. He said that they're trying to come out with a blood test that everybody will have to take to show whether or not you've already had it, you've built up the proteins for it, or the antibodies, or you're immune. Well, as we are well aware, viruses mutate. That's why you can never get the same cold twice. And if you do, it's very mild, and your body finishes doing its business of purging it like the well-oiled equipment that it is. So I started this off with sharing that remember the tainted toothpaste, which was a big nothing burger. And again, here we are with this. What shocked me was how easily people were to go ahead and go on house arrest. That's how, that's a way of looking at it, is we all went into house arrest and stopped with the human contact with one another. That part is pretty shocking, but people are waking up, to that. Wait a minute, this is a big nothing burger too. It's what we think, what's in our heart, and what we think we will manifest. And there's enough of us that have that understanding that we peek, we look at what they're trying to put out, and then we push out our energy towards abundance, love, and plenty for everybody. So it's just amazing to see how many people are so willing to give up their freedoms and put themselves on house arrest and not want to allow others around them out of fear. And that's our biggest in this spiritual war. We are combating fear and replacing it with love and unconditional love and forgiveness for one another. We will have no lack, because we know that we create what's going around with what our surroundings are, and the things that you've seen and shared, even the images that you've taken of your skies, and the things that you've shared, and the anomalies and the phenomena, that gives people a glimpse into what you're experiencing. Does that make
I love
sense?
it. Oh my gosh, you touched on so many amazing things, and all observations that I've made as well. And so interesting trying to put this all together, and just to see how everything kind of is taken, twisted, and turned, and then flipped upside down and right side up, and it's very tough to make sense of it. In fact, I was just speaking to a friend, which,
You can use
it's
just
good to say
a first name or a fake name, so I can know if it's a different friend that you brought up earlier or
same friend, same friend.
you want to call him
So,
friend
yeah,
one.
yeah, she's so amazing, and it's great to say that I found like minds, and that's why I was so excited to see your stream and to give you a call. It's just, we have been in our own kind of seclusion and kind of our own quarantine or whatever you want to call it, but by choice for a while. And so to actually be able to kind of come together again, it just makes me ecstatic. It gives me so much hope. But yeah, she's amazing. And I didn't have her permission, but she has an amazing channel as well. So I
You
would
can
love
share
to
her
share
channel. You know what, you know how I am. I am all
that.
about
Yeah.
share what you know and listen so we can grow. And I've always been about, sharing so other people can go
I
check
know.
out. And if you resonate, uh, it, I know that I'm just one of many, that we're all in this together. But the things that I share may not resonate, but maybe something else can help somebody else. So yeah, always feel free to share channel information, especially if they're putting out I trust you and your observations and what you have to offer the community. But I've always been about sharing channels, and yeah, that is completely a-okay.
Yeah, no, you're amazing. You're one of these like minds that I'm speaking of, and it's just great that we've already had, in the past we've touched base with each other. So it's even more exciting to kind of reconnect now after we've put some of the pieces together and come together and see that we are, having the same observations. But her channel is Root Down, Rise Up, Breathwork, and
Okay, she's in the chat.
oh, okay, great.
Root down, rise up, breath work. Okay, she said
Yeah.
the medication HCQ is one of its actions is to clear excess iron from the system. So if somebody needs an actual tangible physical thing that will help them to understand, there you go. Because some people do think that they need something physical in their hand, something materialistic, and then it will get their mind, going in that direction, and then so it will work for
Right.
them. So I'm
Right.
totally
The whole
down with that.
placebo thing. Yeah. The placebo thing is much more, and just the virus itself, like you were speaking of, I'm going to probably take this out of context, but I've seen a saying that, like, a virus is basically a trick to the body. It tricks the brain into killing the body in a way. So I'm not really saying that right, but it's all about the mind. It's all about the consciousness,
Which is
and
our computer
how
in
these
our body.
things play into it. What's
Right. Our brain is like our CPU.
that?
Okay, you just think about a
Right.
computer virus. When you get a computer
Exactly.
virus, your computer starts lagging and running and doing strange things. Any kind of virus,
Yeah.
yeah, it's going to be in our mind. That's where we should create from our heart. Our heart is where our real mind is. Our mind's eye. I know people talk about the third eye,
That's right.
but they're
Right.
connected. It's in our heart. So, and then when you get them in alignment, when you get your heart and your mind in alignment, you can see beyond, and you can see the game, and then you know how to, like playing chess, you know where to make your next move in order to help everybody. It's not just to help myself. I'm only going to take care of me, forget everybody else. We think more along the lines of everybody, because we realize that we're in this together. We're sovereign, free will, and they can choose for themselves. We do not. I personally do not ever try to make a decision for anybody. I want people to do their own research, their own introspection, their own journey, and I respect that. But at the same time, if we don't put out different perspectives and experiences and this information, people won't start seeking for themselves. So it kind of helps give them a boost in the right direction. So
Exactly.
what we're doing is a service to others, but it's not to say follow me because I know 100% I am right, because that's not the truth. The truth is that the truth resides within us, and anything that is brought up to move people forward, to help get them started. Yeah. And by everybody going into their homes with the social distancing and whatnot, well, yes, you're right. We did that a long time ago when for me, it was 2001 when strange phenomena started happening. And I was like, wait, this place is not quite what I thought it was. Why am I seeing these things in my dreams and then walking through them later? And that's where my journey started. And then it progressively has moved on since then. Maybe I'm a little thick. I was still thinking, no, this is how it works. There's an argument that goes through my CPU from what we're seeing around us in our heart. But then it really ramped up in 2012. And then when 2015 and 16 with the Mandela effect, all those changes showing and proving the fluidity of reality, it was like, I felt relief, a calm, a peace, that all of these people were seeing this too, instead of feeling alone in this, like afraid to say anything to anyone because they'll think you're cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but it's turning out that we're not. And giving these people this time at home is going to give them the time to introspect. Turn the darn TV off and just think. Allow things to process and look around what's going on around you. Intake that, because you're creating that around you, and that's a reflection of what's going on inside of you. It's beautiful. This is so going to backfire on them, and the virus will be all the cells that are carrying the virus. Just think of the world as one body. And as we were talking about, simple biology will tell you, when a virus latches onto a cell, a living host, the cell has a self-destruct, or it will kill the virus. It'll either kill it, dislodge it, or self-destruct. So, with that being said, look at the world as one big body, with each of us being a cell. And if we get infiltrated by the virus, well, either it's going to come up out of us through awakening or another other means. Let's hope it doesn't go into self-destruct, but I think you get the gist. It's a parable.
Absolutely. I love everything you say. And, the people that were waking up, especially at the different increments that you were speaking of, it's almost like this is what her and I were talking about, that there's this new agenda, because they kind of have to roll with the tides and try to meet us where we're at and change the narrative, which is why people like you and me still check in every once in a while to kind of see how we can put love out there, and the opposite end of, because for every negative, there's always another way to look at it that's just as true, if not more true. But
sorry about my dog, hon. If you could hear him.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
There's been a whole entire movement that I speak about a lot, where you see the people that have newly been awakened, where they're kind of like met with this truth, and then all of a sudden they drop in the narratives once they have like your confidence, and it's called being reawakened into the Saturn matrix. So
I see what you're saying, but
yeah, it's to prevent you from leaving the fourth dimension, because they want to keep everybody in the dream realm in time, and they don't want us to break through and into the fifth dimension, where we actually reconnect to source, that electrical field that is source, that connects to our brain, where the soul lies in the parietal lobe, where the soul actually exists. They don't want us, there is a lot of a disconnection, and they want people to stay disconnected from spirit and soul. And so there's like this big thing where they're reawakened into the Saturn matrix with some of this negative, false information. And, now that we have reconnected to that electrical field, to the force, to source, which I think that's where there's these narratives that have been twisted around like 5G. I'm not fully understanding, but the way I see it, how can you compete with God frequency? I mean, I think that God's frequency pretty much cancels out a lot of the lower vibrations. But if people are hearing something that's surrounding them that's going to, quote, unquote, kill them or cause them disease or whatever, then they're going to create that, just like you were speaking of. They're going to create that reality. And that is hell. That's hell. Those are the lower realms, and that's where people are like, they want to process the soul and the spirit back down into the belly of Saturn. It is like a big body, the cosmos, and the belly happens to be Saturn. So anyway, it's wild, how we do all have the information, but now that we have connected to source, that is the one truth, the one consciousness that we all are affecting. And so if we can, that's how we do win with love. And people will eventually be seeking this, because the hell gets to be too bad and too dark, and they are seeking for those other, alternatives to the narratives that are out there, because it's just not sitting right with their heart, or like you said, aka mind's eye. It's just not, and they're awakening, and it's inevitable that they're going to start seeking. And that's why, this stuff is going to backfire ultimately on the ones that have created this, like, pretty looking prison for us. But, for them it's a paradise. Well, it's supposed to be a paradise for everyone. And I do think that, I don't even like to touch on all this negative stuff, but I did hear something about, how China supposedly put everybody on lockdown, and like certain parts of the government or whatever wanted to see. Now, I think that this is more of a satanic agenda, which is intertwined within everything. I don't think that each and every politician or governor or member of like the presidential cabinet is satanic and Masonic, and where I don't think that. I think that there are good people. I think that God's people are in, also spread about and ready to step in. God's army is ready to be deployed as perfect time allows. But they are using some tactics to try and, and those are ending up backfiring, because God will use evil for good, and that's what we're seeing right now in a lot of ways. But they are playing on people's emotions with this so-called virus. They're making people feel as if they're being irresponsible. And I heard the New York governor speaking about this, and he does it a lot. I guess his brother has tested positive, and now the wife has tested positive, and luckily they seem to be recovering, which they should, because it's typical cold, but it's also with the electromagnetic frequencies of the rapture that's bringing people up into the higher realms, because we're connecting to that electrical field, regardless of, the narrative. There's, they're playing on those emotions, though, to keep people low vibration. And people are even more powerful once they wake up and connect to that. And so what they are inundated with and fed and told is going to manifest even quicker. You understand that, so you probably explain that better than I am. But once we're awakened and then put back into those negative, darker ideas, like, we're going to manifest those even quicker, honestly. So
Yeah, have you noticed manifestation is happening in like TikTok time, where it would take a while before, now it's like, or maybe it's always been instant, but we're just now becoming aware of it. But it also says in the Bible, as a man thinketh, so shall it be. So there's so many clues in plain sight. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. People worry about the electronics and things like that. If you think it's going to affect you, yes, it will affect you. If you don't, and you don't put your attention and your intention and your energy, it won't. But one of the things, and when we talk about symbolism and reading between the lines, is the president, whether people like him or not, it's irrelevant. I'm reading the symbolism behind what his actions. But did you know that one of the things that he is made a, what do you call it when they that is a necessity or whatever, essential, I'm sorry. It is an essential thing to remain open and active, is the places where people can go to buy their guns, to arm themselves. Because by the Constitution and the freedoms that we are supposed to be under here, we have the right to bear arms, to assemble a well-formed militia for a tyrannical government. But those are still open. So when you look at what he is saying, don't look at him or his arrogance or any of that judgment. I've heard all different kinds of judgments against him. Listen to what, and watch his actions, the social distancing, no mask, no, all of that. He's showing us on a daily basis to be calm, and leaving those open and calling them essential is something that I find very, very interesting. Now, that's a 3-dimensional way of going about things. But you've got to start somewhere. If somebody is trying to see, where are we at? What is he trying to show us? You can start at the 3D realm and say, okay, he just made all of the gun shops and ammunition shops an essential, that they must remain open and selling and in business along with the manufacturers for any persons to go in and purchase, not for military, but for each citizen, each individual, to be able to do that on the 3D realm. And then you can move up from there to reading the, why doesn't he have a mask? Why aren't they social distancing? Why aren't, you know what I mean? I know I'm preaching to the choir with you, April, because you're a symbol reader, and you put the symbology out in layman's terms for people to be able to follow. Now, you don't ask that people believe exactly the way you're showing it. Do your own, do your own introspection. But just by putting that out there for people, it opens doors, it opens their eyes, it opens their heart, it opens their mind to different possibilities and probabilities. And that's where we use their own equipment to empower the people. And that's what I love about your channel.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I feel like I'm still, there's other people like Root Down, Rise Up, Breathwork that have opened my eyes to these types of thoughts, and this is just another aspect of that you're bringing to light, and I think it's amazing. I think it's exciting, and I do remember like something that's always stuck out to me is how some of those guys that I was speaking of did mention like, oh, he's not one of us. He's not one of the boys. He's not. The way I always took that is he's not part of the club.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that didn't mean that I really realized that.
He's actually openly showing
he is
defiance to
being-
the narrative.
Yeah, I mean, he is being used by the light. I don't doubt that at all anymore. And I think it's really exciting, like you say, to get other people to open their own minds to it, because that's the only way that, I mean, that's part of this whole entire journey, and I think that's something that's been taken away from us, but that we can rebuild. And that's what we're doing right now just by speaking about it. It's amazing. It's beautiful. But that New York governor, just speaking about forcing people to wear masks and whatnot, implementing that now, I was really turned off by that because we know that this isn't a contagion. And I'm not really understanding, and he did mention it was a little bit different for him. And sorry, if I'm going off in a direction that's not
No, this
pleasant
is
for the
open.
show, but
This is open.
it's
You
just,
can go any
it's just
direction.
frustrating to me because on the other end of that, like I see exactly what you're saying with Trump, and I think those signs and symbols are awesome. But then on the other end of that, when he's making people feel like they're going to be irresponsible and playing on their emotions and that they're like actually harming others or potentially harming others. I mean, I hear it when I do go out. There was a woman today, and they always just repeat, like their CPU just kind of takes that information and then they spit it back out. And she's just saying, well, but they say that we're carriers and that we could be hurting other people. And, just it's a terrible thing to make people feel. And if I've mentioned at the grocery store in passing, I see this one woman, and I've seen her every day since. It's kind of neat, actually. We're getting to know people on a personal level. But I mentioned in passing just that don't worry too much. This is a healing. Now, I'm not asking people to take their masks off. I think that, like you said, it's important to allow people their comfort levels and their own stage of understanding, but to put that other aspect of truth out there for them to think about and to contemplate versus to have only this, scary information. But, she said, oh, but I have old people at home. So I said, no, I completely understand. Of course, they're making us feel as if, we might be harming another if we don't take these precautions. I would do the same. I understand, but I just think that part of it needs to stop. They need to. There's this level of darkness that I keep hearing this new narrative as of today that we need to merge with the dark, and they're pulling up this like shadow. It's like the topic of the day, right? It's like we have to merge with the dark because it's not their fault, and that part of ourselves and our shadow. And it's like, no, we've done all of that work. We've integrated any parts of the dark. Ruth Downs made an amazing
Well, we have
point
both.
that this is light. This is dark to light.
Yin
Dark
and yang.
to light.
Mhm.
Not dark and light, right? So I do agree that we have both, but there's a certain level of darkness that I think needs to be completely transmuted, not merged with. We can't bring that with us into the new world, or it wouldn't be heaven on earth. We can't. It needs to be transmuted. And that's where a lot of the work that we're doing right now is going to lie right now, and going forward. But I don't know. I just, I guess that's one of those things that I was just observing today. And there's a certain,
It's like you're living on two different worlds already.
oh, completely, two different realities. And that's what the Hopi Indians said would happen, right? That's why I named my channel The Fifth World. And maybe we've manifested that because of these prophecies. But you know, ancient prophecy is where it's at. And that is ancient prophecy. And that's Prophecy Rock, where it shows the path of eternal life versus this path of, you know, just strife and confusion and death and darkness. Well, that's what's happening right now. And I do believe that we came back in time. I believe that some of us are time travelers. You know who I mean. And
Well, you know where I
that
saw
we
you before I even
that's
met
right.
you,
That's what I mean.
which is
You
pretty
wanna tell that
amazing
story?
in
I love it.
itself because, okay, I'll tell it really quick, just and I'll condense it. I actually met April. I was asleep in dream state, you know, vivid dreaming, and I seen her at a very interesting place. I'm not quite sure where we were at, but she was standing against the wall with several other people that seemed to be wearing their jams. And I had just come out of this room after speaking with, and I started handing these things over. It was very, very interesting dream. And then as I was walking out, there she was, and I looked at her, and she actually made eye contact with me of all the people that were standing there. And then I left, and they said
Nigger,
something.
poop, nigger.
Hold on a second.
Nigger, poop, nigger, poop, poop, nigger, poop.
Nice. See, this is what I have to deal with on a daily basis, all day, every day.
Nigger, poop, you tried to mute me, but
Hold on a second, April. I'm trying to hang up on
keep
him.
trying to mute.
It's wild.
Some
That's
people,
wild.
I mean, come on. If you guys can't be mature and have fun sharing, you know, and you just want to say
That's the thing. They're
profanities.
not going to. Yeah, they're not going to allow us to do our work. This is how they've tried to stop it. They'll go to any length to try to stop this from happening. And you know,
The dark that we needed to integrate would be the darkness
I'm not
that's with.
integrating that type of darkness. I
No,
don't need, you know,
it would
I've
only
spent
be
a lot of
within
time
us.
trying to help those types of people and that type of darkness, and they
April.
just won't take a healing.
I'm not talking about outside of your self darkness. I'm talking about whatever darkness and forgiveness that we needed to do for ourselves. You know,
No, absolutely.
yeah, the forgiveness that we need to do, you know, at the inner standing in our hearts. As for other people, they have the decisions to make for how they react. Just like that caller just now, he showed lack of respect towards others and not wanting to. He didn't call to share an experience. He called to be disruptive. Please do
Right.
not unmute yourself by the instructions. You will get unmuted as the calls come in, and we'll go from there. But yeah, the darkness that we integrate is within ourselves, not outside of ourselves.
That's right. That's right. And so they think that they're going to get a free ride, and they're mad because they're not going to, because it's just not possible. But there is healing available for anyone. It doesn't matter who you are, what you are having trouble forgiving yourself for. None of that matters. There's still forgiveness available and healing available for any and everyone, even the worst, perceived the worst sinners, you know. It's available. This is for everyone. So
Yep.
there really is no reason.
Let me finish the story where we met. Well,
Yeah, please do.
okay, then
Poop, never.
if you unmute yourself, I'm sorry, I am going to hang up on the call. That's just the way that it goes. If you can't follow simple instructions and wait your turn, then I'm going to disengage the call. But we made eye contact. Well, I heard your voice, but you would never show your face. And I talked to a mutual friend, and I described you to a T to her from who I saw in that vivid dream. And it was jaw-dropping that it was you. I was like, oh my goodness. If I sound a little tied up, it's because I'm hanging up on people. Anybody, like I said, if you unmute yourself, I'm going to directly disconnect you, because that means you're not here to share. You're here to, be disruptive and just be kind. There's no need for people to behave in this manner. Or what I will do is I'll just call April direct, and then we'll just go from there, and I'll open it up to everybody else. I mean, what you're going to do.
That might be a good idea, because they're not going to stop. I mean, these people are determined to just...
Well, this doesn't normally happen, so
This is how I find a lot of my truth, and this is how I, this is what I deal with on a constant basis. But the second that I'm ready to step out, I mean, what do you do? What do you do?
Well, at least...
It's not going to stop me.
No. And you know what? We got to, move forward. And like I said, this is going to backfire. And it's right there in the verbiage and in the reactions. And, okay, Westchester, Pennsylvania. If you unmute yourself, again, remember, I get your phone number, your location, and everything. You will be turned in, because this is a live broadcast that is actually considered a business. So if you're going to be disruptive in that manner, you can be turned in. I don't want to do that to anyone, but I want to give everybody their chance to speak, but not in a, in the way that you're trying to do to this. And you're not going to rattle me or stir me in any direction one way or the other. You're just going to ruin it for yourself if you have something you want to share. So that's, okay. I'm sorry, April. So that is where I saw you before. I described you to a T, and it was absolutely amazing. When I actually got to see a picture of you, I was like, oh my gosh, that's her. She didn't show me the picture of you until after she got your permission. So after I described you, our mutual friend got in contact with you, and I mean that's phenomenal. So when we have vivid dreams and experiences like that, you never know who you're seeing and why and what kind of an important role in your life they're going to play.
It's exciting, it really is awesome. I'm so glad that you shared that with me, and it does, I get like a visual when you describe it, but I don't have...
Well, you probably remember it maybe because you were there.
So neat. I can't wait to learn more, honestly, I cannot wait to learn more. I think that we're going to get to learn. This is just the beginning of
the new normal.
The possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, the new normal.
What is your new normal going to be? I mean, really, I see prosperity, abundance. I see people understanding how our bodies work and how our brain is a CPU. And when you just follow a narrative, that system seems to be, crumbling. And it was prophesied. The evidence surrounds us if you have the eyes to see it. And this being 2020, many people have seen that 2020 perfect vision that we were going to be able to see. And things are plain to see, but not quite for everybody yet. And that's why it is important for channels like the Fifth World, who does a lot of work with symbology, with the skies, with the images that she takes, with the information that she shares. And I think Fifth, you're kind of like me with, you don't have to resonate with it all. Go inside and get your journey. But in the meantime, it is important to have these platforms out there that will speak the positivity and the understanding of who we really are and what is going on, and how malleable and fluid that this place is for everybody. And whatever virus took over this system, it's being shown, it's manifesting in the third dimensional realm, and we can see it, we understand what it's doing, and then we know what we need to do to be proactive towards mankind as a whole. Even the guys
Yes,
that were trying to be disruptive in this call, it's okay. They're just not, they don't understand their unlimited potential and their divinity that resides within them. They're using it in a way that is unbecoming, but soon they'll realize who they are, not like who they are like you're busted. I mean, like who they are as a part of the human condition, who we actually are. And the top of the pyramid is going to collapse, because it's supposed to be the bottom where all the people are. We are the ones with all the power. Why do you think they have to put this out in so many different platforms for us to manifest it the way that they want it to go? I mean, it's just absolutely amazing the lengths that they go to for us. But like I said, as time is going on, we know what they're trying to do. So they can blah, 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 talking heads, statistics, put out whatever. But we're not following that herd mentality anymore. We understand that we create from our heart. And we love each other and don't want any harm or suffering to come about on anyone.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
I'm so glad you came on.
Thank you so much. I am so glad that you came on and that you're doing this beautiful live show. I mean, like, there needs to be so much more of this. I'm just so grateful, and I'm also, like, just so proud of you for doing this. I mean, you have so many amazing things to say, so many beautiful insights. You're changing things for the better, and I'm just so grateful for you.
And I got a major setback. And a lot of times when you're going through this process, something, could come about in your life that can kick you up off your feet for a while. And that's when I kind of backed off of sharing and stuff, because, when my daughter was taken so abruptly, it knocked me off my feet for a little while. It knocked my balance off. And then I wasn't any good to anybody else until I got my house back in order again. So I backed off and, allowed the time that I needed to, nothing stopped. The growth never stopped or anything, but it really, it broke my heart. I mean, my heart was just busted, just in a bazillion pieces that, so, when those kind of things happen to us in our personal lives, okay, it set me back into where I needed to get some recalibration and some balance back. But I'm okay, and I know I will see her again. That I'm not worried about. It's just I want to set this stuff and all this court case and all this other garbage that they're dragging along. I want it in the rear view, because I often think about when somebody passes on and they move, are they being held back by things that are like unfinished business or things going on in the 3D realm? Is that a way of trying to tether them, so they can't move to the realm, the dimension, or the next part of their journey? These are the kind of things that I've been thinking about with that going on with my daughter. Now everything's shut down, so whatever criminal case or arrest warrant or whatever they're wanting to do has not taken place and is not going to take place anytime soon. But I want all of that unfinished business in this realm let go of. Now, I'm trying to come to the understanding that there's nothing that could hold her back, and to allow her to go, to move on. But I can't, with all these others involved, it's difficult. So yeah, that's when I got kind of quiet. I made a few videos here and there, but that was a hard thing to deal with, and I miss her every day. But I do see her in dream time. She does come and visit me, and
Aw.
I look forward to those kind of visits. With they're so vivid, they're so beautiful, and yeah. But I know I'll see her again. But in the meantime, like I
Yes,
said,
I know that. I know that as well. I know that.
mm-hmm.
And I am so proud of you for sharing your experience and journey. I know you've helped so many that might be experiencing some of the same emotions. And
Yeah, I put it out raw. I mean, right after I put up a grieving video, and I was like, and no two people are gonna go through it alike. It's just it was yeah, that was pretty raw when I shared that with the community. But when something like that happens, you it's like, okay, they wanted to shut me up, shut me down, and knock me up off my feet. Am I going to allow that, or am I going to keep pressing forward? And I'm going to keep pressing forward. It's time to move on. They can try and tether her all they want. I'm releasing her. I want her to go. I'll take care of it. I'm still here. I'll handle that. My daughter can move on. I got this. I got this for her, because that would be the last thing that I would ever want, is to be tethered here over an accident that happened to me. I don't call it an accident anymore. I call it a crash, after getting the reports and stuff. But I would want to be let go of. The people that love me can handle it. They can handle it. I want to, I would want to reassure them with the strength that they needed, which she has done, and let her go like I would want to be let go of. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you're so strong, and
Not
I'm just
really.
so proud of you.
Well, I appreciate that, but I don't know if I would call that strength, because, I mean, my heart literally is broken over this. But that doesn't mean, there's so many different kinds of love, that you can't take it all away from me. No matter what is thrown at me, you're not going to be able to take away the love and compassion and forgiveness that I have for everybody. It's just, it just knocked my feet out from underneath me, and I just had to stand back up. And actually, Easter that we just passed, the one we just passed, it would make it a year since she spent the day with me last Easter. Not this past one, but the one before. So that was the last time I saw her alive and spent any quality time with my baby girl.
Wow.
Yep. And she's beautiful, and she's always, we're eternal beings. So she comes and visits. You can feel her. It's just, where am I going to allow this to take me? Am I going to allow it to drag me back down to the very beginning, or am I going to, get my strength back for the other people who are dealing with this realm and need to move on, wake up, or whatever help that we're able to offer to anybody, and the one outweighed, and I want her let go. In the meantime, I got her covered. I'm gonna be in the court. I'll do what I need to do to stand up for my child, and then allow my family to grieve. It's holding my son back big time by having this case open. It needs to be done with, and so he can let go and just love her and have the memory in his heart until he sees her again.
Well, I'm not familiar with all that's going on with that, but I just going to ask in the name of the Holy Spirit that be resolved as
The
quickly
Holy
as
Spirit,
possible.
the Holy Spirit is the one who has been there. I mean, okay, some people call it the Holy Spirit, some people call it higher self. The terminology doesn't really matter. It's the inner strength and how much inner strength that I had before this happened. Where was I before this happened? I'm sorry if you hear those sounds. That's people unmuting and I'm hanging up on them. So, to call when we're talking about this, come on, guys. Let's act our age, not our shoe size. But we've been going
Riddle off his nigga's ass.
for an hour and a half already, and
Yeah, thank you so much for
several
having me.
callers, but
Yeah.
one continuous call of sharing. But we never really got the answer
you.
on where you're at on your sharing on your channel now. I know you were talking about the kachinas. Can you explain a little bit about that to anybody who may come across this later, or because that was new to
Sure,
me, and by listening to you, I got a better understanding of that.
Yeah, and so it's taken many directions since, my original observation. But if you look at my last video, I have what is the blue Kachina, which is Sirius, the star, which is Jesus. That's the star that actually represents Jesus. A lot of times you'll hear them trying to give credit to Venus, but it's actually Sirius is the star that represents Jesus, the Mother, the Holy Spirit, our Creator, the Creator of this universe, which is emanated from the moon. Like, it's amazing. So you'll hear a lot of demonization about the moon, and they'll just pretend as if Sirius doesn't exist and try to give credit to other deities. And that's, them trying to use the collective energy to give power to things that are not in power anymore. So, but if you take a look at my last, it's amazing. It's the red and blue Kachina together. And from what I understand, Beetlejuice is the red Kachina. And so there's just so much that we still have to put together as far as the pieces go, but they're together. And, I think you and I watched Dark Crystal together. Do you remember, without giving the entire thing away, you remember where there was an alignment that took place in that movie? That's what I see happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that should give people a good, foundation. And of course, as we grow in the understanding and as the information flows in and the fluidity, the deeper the understanding and understanding will be, and the more information. So you may have began talking about it in one aspect of it, but as you went deeper and deeper into it, then the information went deeper and deeper also. And that's the Hopi prophecies, correct?
What's that?
The Hopi?
The Hopi, yeah, talking about the red and blue Kachina. And then there's other, it's scriptural, it's ancient, there's ancient prophecy that speaks about all of this. And I'll be hopefully highlighting some of the ancient prophecy, because that is what rings true, which is that essentially, mankind is freed, is made free because our consciousness rises and we reconnect to source and to our soul, and we become sovereign again. And so that's all happening no matter what. And so, but the sooner we can, imbue love back into the collective, the better. For the less suffering, I believe, has to continue, because my prayer is always just that human suffering just stop. And I know that when I was speaking about the dark and the light merging and everything, I completely agree with you. There's a lot of inner work that we do as individuals, but there's this other aspect of it where I just pray that it gets transmuted, because human suffering doesn't have to continue. And there's an aspect, it's more of a satanic view, that human consciousness is just energy to be used. And that's absolutely not the case. You know, each and everybody's consciousness is so precious and delicate. And I just want for all human consciousness to be protected. You know, any living creature to be, you know, protected and not abused and not have to suffer unnecessarily. I don't see really any suffering as being necessary, to be honest.
Sorry about that.
So
I
just
is the
see
Hopi
that
prophecy
happening more and more.
Is the Hopi prophecy, does it get to the point where it's more about remembering that this is what we've always been, things that we've forgotten that are just going to come back into our remembrance, or is it more about coming into a different period?
It does. It speaks about old creation starting to show up that we've forgotten about, to remind us of who we are.
I'm hitting them pretty fast, if you hadn't noticed.
Yeah, it's
This is the last call I'm taking. It is April, so I'm sorry, guys. No more phone calls coming in. I'm going to finish out the show with April, so I'm going to take the number down. And so the conference is closed. Since we had such a wonderful conversation, so much shared. She's got,
Thank you.
a wealth of information to give to people, freely, because people offer this information out to help one another at usually an expense to themselves. It costs us money to put out the shows and the software and all the, learning and time and studies and, to make it nice for other people. So we do this out of, it's a labor of love to have people come out and share their experiences and feel open about it, and for disruptive young people to call and to try to interfere with something as precious as somebody sharing experiences with another. It just befuddles me on why people would do that and try and be so disruptive. I'd like to have you come on as a guest once people start seeing or realizing that I'm coming back live and going to be around more often. Things will pick up, but in my absence, I expect that people wouldn't get notifications and things like that. So it is what it is. And once I set a certain time for call-in shows, people will start coming to share what they have. And this new normal that is being pushed out in front of our face, which I did name the show Our New Normal. So with what April's been sharing and others have been sharing, in previous chats and what, I was talking about earlier, what is your new normal going to be? I mean, we get to choose that. So
that's right. Yeah, we're creating, and without some of this interference, and like you said, with having some time to kind of just reset, we're getting to really look into our hearts, and some of us are having to rebuild those broken dreams. But that's what my message has been, is that this is possible. Like, we get to live out the rest of our lives the way that our soul intended. God wants us to enjoy our lives and to be happy and to have peace. And, after all this madness, all of that is extremely welcome. And I think we're getting beyond the time of just trying to find and give hope and starting to actually rebuild what's been lost and have what's been lost restored and even embellished beyond our wildest dreams. So, we are creating these realities and this reality.
Just people watching you.
There's not going to be a bunch of different timelines. It is a collective situation. It is a collective, and we are one. And there's not going to be these separate timelines where human suffering gets to continue, not on any level. So I just want to make that clear. That is the message that I get, that I understand very well, and that I will honor. But yeah, we're going to get to rebuild and restore all of what we might have thought was lost or broken or gone, and it's going to be beyond our wildest dreams.
And what is going to give people this desire to want what you have is by walking through this situation, for example, in such a peace and calm that is beyond understanding to some. They're going to say, why are you walking in such peace and in happiness and fulfillment, and I'm over here panicking that somebody's going to breathe on me? They're going to start saying, how is this happening? And they're going to look to you, and they're going to say, that's when you'll start being approached in your natural life, like, how can you be walking in this and handling this the way that you are? What is it that you know? And then instead of on a platform such as YouTube, it will start being people in our personal lives that start asking you questions like, what's going on? What do you know that I don't? And then it's not that you want to be their spiritual leader or anything, but you can give them some basic tools to put in their toolbox so they can get started, because they can see what you're walking, how you're walking, and how you're handling things, and they're going to want that for themselves and their family. That will be the new normal. I love my new normal is going to be abundance for everyone. No longer the people at the top projecting out what they want us to create for them. We will realize our divinity, our sovereignty, and we will reflect out around us what our heart is expressing and creating, and we are going to be conscious of it. We're not going to be doing these things unconsciously or allow anybody to feed information into us to create what they want that puts them up at the top of the pyramid, where everybody should be at the top of their own pyramid, at the top of whatever you're creating. You should be the one at the top, not asking those that are in your pyramid to create your reality to put you at the top, but you should be at the top of your own. Everybody should. Everybody is the hero of their own life. Everybody has the truth residing within them. Everybody that we're able to create, we're pushing back. And think of this virus, that we are Geek Squad. We are coming in and we're rooting the virus out of the system. And so it's going to take a little time for it to, get out of the system. But once it's out of the system, the new normal will be everybody is going to have that understanding of who they are. And even Jesus said, when you see me, you'll be like me. He also said that in the latter times that these things they will do and more. So what he knew and was teaching to his disciples, people are remembering who they are. And I always think about when Jesus in the Bible, as we all know, the Bible's changed a couple times, but Who did he go and talk to? And what was their response? I mean, they were so happy and received his message, and it was life changing for so many of these people that he would actually go and talk to. Well, it wasn't the ones that were in the church or governing body, or he was talking to what those individuals would consider deplorables, tax collectors, prostitutes, or you know what I'm saying? So what could he have possibly been telling these people that would bring so much hope and joy, except for telling them who they truly are and what they truly are in the eyes of Source God, of being a child with every capability and gift within them that everybody else has as an equal. There is no higher than them or lower than them, but they had everything they needed within them. What do you think about that, April? I know you're well versed on scripture and things like that, but just some simple things that are in our face that are shown to us very openly. What's your opinion on what I just said?
Oh, I think that's absolutely the case. I think that it was a small following, and it's been said that it would be very few. But I think that we came back to help, as many as possible understand. I think that.
And remember, he also said he was unable to do miracles, and people didn't listen to him where he was raised or to his own family and in his own little town. It was other areas that he went to where, they didn't really know him, that they were able to receive the message in their heart. So when you're
I get a little thrown off because it's just what I've learned. The image of Jesus that we know so well, that reaches our heart, was actually a plagiarism of Zeus and of Mithras. So, without going into all of that,
oh yeah, that's not what he looks like.
Yeah, well, and
or what
that was an avatar of the Holy Spirit. Zeus was an avatar of the Holy Spirit. So, there was others that came before him, and always a very loving, very forgiving, very chained being. But I think that, we have broken those chains with our love, and that's part of the rebuilding for me, honestly. So when you ask me what I would say, that, there's a lot of rebuilding that has to be done. I'm sorry, it's just not coming naturally like I automatically would want it to right now, as far as it's all been so convoluted that I've gotten pretty wrapped up in that and trying to understand the truth of it, and just feeling so frustrated with, the way that Christianity has turned into this whole might is right scenario, and people just really have been misguided, and it just breaks my heart. So I just feel like there's a lot of work to be done, and I'm like, how can we collectively just help people understand that there was at some point when Rome took that beautiful truth that you speak of, that you carry so well, that you have right in your heart, and twisted it and made it patriarchal and made it a mechanism of control. And just
that's totally against
what he wanted.
See it so
widespread out there. So, I do say sometimes I'm not as positive as people think I am.
Oh no. You're authentic. There's nothing wrong with being authentic, April. And that's not that. Yeah. And I'm not positive. A positive personality or person. That's not realistic. I'm a person, you know.
Right.
I have feelings, I have emotions, and if you come over and you do something and harm me, I am going to get angry, and I still have those rights. I have the right to get angry if you try to trample on me or my rights. I'm not going to impose myself on you, and all I ask is that you don't do the same to me. It's not much to ask. And what I was talking about is not what it's turned into today under the banner of Christianity, organized religion, which is, I think, I'm sorry to say this, the last thing that he wanted. He wanted his teachings to move on and for people to, know who they are. He never wanted to be a leader of a religious sect. He was against all of that. He told them they were of their father, the devil. He didn't want part of that. So
just that God is love. God is love, and
yes,
pure unconditional love, and that's what we are. And that's what our heart is, and we carry that spark of creatorship. And I do believe that we're all here to become creators in our own right, but it's important to understand these fundamental truths that got lost in order to really be able to move forward as collective and remember who we are completely, and maybe that will happen. Maybe that's what this time was all about. And but the innocent will come with us and we will teach them. Mm-hmm. So I'm not concerned about that, but I spent a lot of my time trying to reach out to the ones who were perpetuating this fear, control, and guilt scenario.
Yes.
And I've spent
That's
a lot
nowhere
of time
near his message. That is so off the message. Yeah, it's so off the message that, and to put him as a head of the church and to worship him, he never wanted that. That wasn't even, when Satan offered him all of that, he said, no, I don't want any of that. What do you think of the Pope giving up the title Vicar of Christ?
I think he understands that Christ is here in the flesh, and that it's not a good idea to hold that title.
Do you?
It's not something that he needed to continue to hold because.
But he put his name above Vicar of Christ. What the Vicar of Christ is not what. See, I'm not Catholic, so I had to do a little research on this. So what it actually has to do with was in the Bible where it says that he gave the keys to Peter to be the head of the church. So by saying he's no longer Vicar of Christ, he's no longer saying that he's a servant and guardian over guardians under the apostles of Peter, not Christ himself. He's not a representative of Christ on earth. He's a representative of an apostle, the apostle of the apostles, and actually in servitude. When he took the titles, and that's not the only title, all of the titles now are at the bottom below him, but his name now, his birth name, is in big bold letters at the top, and then a biography. But see, when they do their conclave, and then they decide on the new papacy, the new pope, and then the white smoke comes out, or they give him a new name. Okay, they get a new name, and that name is the one that would go above. So you've given up your fleshly body, and now you're in servitude to the apostles. You're like the apostle to the apostles, the servant to the servants, and then more servitude towards, if you went down the pyramid, he would be in more service to farther down the pyramid you would go. Well, now he's removed all that and put it below his birth name, put himself at the top. And the complaints that were filed by the bishops and the archbishops and all of that were that now he's claiming by taking away the servant title of, keys of the kingdom, Peter, which is where they're following after, he's declaring himself monarch over Rome, that he is even above Christ.
Well, that shows the splitting of the world, because there are key holders that are here now, and we are at the gates of heaven, so heaven on earth, because heaven is a place on earth and so is hell. So just it goes back to the two paths, the two realities that we spoke of earlier, that the Hopi cited and the other prophecies cite, and there is a splitting, there's the whole wheat and the chaff and all of that.
Yeah, the wheat and the tares.
Yeah. And so it's a testament to, it's very profound. It's a very profound time and statement. And like I say, there's key holders here that we are guarding the gates of God's kingdom, and there's more and more and more of us every day.
And the people that are rising up, that are going through this, whether you call it the trotting down of the grapes or the olives in the wine, the wine press, or the oil from the olives, you feel like you do go through a trotting down as you're releasing what is false, and the truth is rushing in. But the people that are popping up are people that you would never expect. And that's what I love so much about this. It will eventually be everybody, but the people that are rising up are the people you would just, the least likely that you would expect are popping up with this wisdom and these profound understandings that just like, whoa, I would have never thought, I would have never expected. So
that's the exciting thing, heaven rejoices when, somebody who wasn't expected to turn around. Like you said, sometimes those are the most profound and powerful transformations, of course. So it's exciting, and everyone will eventually be here one way or another. And, this is just the beginning. This is just the first, the beginning of God's mansion, the fifth dimension, however you want to look at it, the higher realms, heaven on earth. It's just the very, very, very beginning of God's endless mansion. So it is important that we all, get on the same page so that we can move to higher and higher realms.
yes, and I brought that up because Fifth World also talks on these things on her channel. So the things that I'm asking her is from knowledge and wisdom that she has shared on, her observation experiences on her platform. So, not everybody that's going to call in is going to be somebody that I know personally and intimately to be able to, bring up things that they are, expressing on their channel and able to share in such deep understanding. So we just got lucky with her calling, because I am very familiar with her work, with the images that she shares, the information, the understanding, and how she talks about multiple different, from Hopi to biblical to being able to, like, the stars, the alignments, the clouds, all the different aspects of her wisdom that she shares on her channel. We didn't plan this. This is not cheating, but she just happened to call in, so I was able to bring out, a lot of good information to share with everybody that's possibly listening. On, you never know what you're going to get from different people, and what they're able to share. And so, yeah, she's one amazing person.
So honored.
You have a wrench, and if you wouldn't mind putting your channel link in there, they won't.
Sure.
They will not let us in the chat. If they will not let us hit those three dots and go to people's channels and subscribe anymore. So if you put your link in there, that would be great. And I may put it in the. Yeah, I will actually, because you were the only caller that I actually ended up letting get through. We had several calls, but the only one that got through. I'll put you in the description box too for anybody that is looking for her that's not already a common subscriber, because she's got some pretty phenomenal things that she shares, and you're more frequent than you ever were. I mean, like, you're awesome. I'm so happy with the direction that you're going, and it's just amazing. And our new normal, our new normal is not going to be social distancing and scared and, more control and freedoms taken away. Our new normal is going to be seeing the beauty around us. It's going to be abundance. It's going to be forgiveness, unconditional love for one another, and also the thinking more about how when you do something to someone, how is that going to do a ripple effect? So we will be more careful.
Yeah, the golden rule, absolutely.
Yes, because of when we do something to somebody and hurt them, well, just like putting a pebble into the water, it does that ripple. Well, whoever is around that person who's just gotten hurt, well, they have people around them, and it will ripple. We have no idea how actually more tightly connected to one another than we than we've been led to believe that we are. So the actions of one can affect thousands when it comes, down the pike. And we're at a crossroads now where we're taking back, our abilities, our understanding, and what we are in the year of Vision 2020. So that will be the new normal that I'm trying to express. And obviously,
So
you guys,
beautiful, so well put. And the people that don't, the people that still are exuding hate or disdain, there is an aspect that does reflect back on them because we are one. So if you really, hate me, then you're hating yourself, you're rejecting yourself. I mean, it's the truth. There's no other way. There's no way around it. I love everybody, even if I speak of this darkness that I think needs to be transmuted. It's not hatred, but there's this certain, anyway, we spoke about that, but to completely reject and be completely non-accepting of somebody is just a reflection, and it really is, because we are one.
Right. And and that's exactly right, because when you're seeing in other people and, you're being cruel or judging them, you kind of tell on yourself by your own actions on, where you stand. And I've noticed that too with people when they, that's exactly what they're doing when they're mean or cruel to one another, that they're actually showing, and of course judging others, that they are actually showing what's going on in their own heart, not the recipient, not the person that they're casting these horrible judgments on. I mean, I've been told or deemed or judged as all kinds of different things, a New Ager, that I read cards, and all these different things. I had to go look up what the heck they were even talking about, because I didn't know what they were talking about. Only thing I speak on is my experiences and share. And so, when you're judging people like that without really knowing them, without walking in their footsteps and going through their day-to-day life, how can we judge one another when we don't have that kind of a knowing of another person? We don't know them well enough to cast any kind of judgment. We don't have that right. We shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
We're all brothers and sisters, and it's going to come to a point, and it's not going to be a one world religion. It's not going to be any of the stuff that is, talked about. There's not going to be one that rises up and we're all going to follow after. It's not going to be like that. The one that rises up is going to be you, within you. And that is going to be the one, not some outsourced individual, that the world wanders after. No. It's all in how you want to manifest and where your intention goes, energy flows, and the best creations come from your heart.
There is a fine line, and that's where some of the stuff gets so confusing, because there is a fine line. I mean, the ones who are kind of trapped in darkness right now, they chose to serve something that isn't their heart. They chose to separate from their own spirit. They chose to emanate away from the Creator. So, I can't always identify with that. But there is an opportunity for those who have been serving the will of Saturn and have chosen to go that route. There is an opportunity for them to reconnect and receive healing and know what it means to be loved again, and to be able to experience that, and to repair their heart and to heal their heart, so that they can love again also. So there's a fine line, it's kind of coming full circle with what we were talking about as far as, this specific darkness that they have separated themselves, and now they have an opportunity to have that healed. I hope that we see more and more of that.
One of the things I know that we have in common is we both had problems with learning to love ourselves unconditionally. See, it's easier to love somebody else and actually put them at a higher level of love than our own being. But we have to also learn to love ourselves and know that we're worthy, that we are worthy of love. We're worthy of respect, and we're worthy of everything that we are manifesting that is not encroaching our will onto somebody else, not usurping their sovereignty and allowing them to be. Just have the right to be. If you're not causing harm to somebody else, for you, and especially the ones that are doing or have made this choice, they're doing it willingly, because when you are knowingly causing harm and taking away from somebody else for yourself, and you already have plenty. Okay, I know people make mistakes when they're really down and out, but you have plenty, but you're continuously taking over and usurping other people's sovereignty, freedoms, then you're making a conscious choice to do that. And what she's talking about with that, God's going to pour out His Spirit on all flesh, okay? Sometimes people get hoodwinked into this type of a scenario. We all have come from living in that 3D competitive, need that better job, thinking that we need to have X, Y, and Z. And then when you come out of that, you realize X, Y, and Z doesn't mean crap. What matters is the people, the love that you have for one another, and that's what's important, not the latest cell phone or latest car or the bigger ring on your finger or any of that. That all that stuff crumbles away. So I'm just elaborating on what you were sharing because it is exactly that, and a lot of people got hoodwinked into this kind of a programming, and we're removing that virus. I mean, what's the new
Exactly.
normal?
We were all that. We were all subject to that programming. We were all under that programming, and that's part of waking up, and that's part of
We
these
were
ways
born into
that.
it.
Mhm.
Just, being
Yeah.
born into that. This is just the way that it is, and that's all we ever knew, to be woke up and come out of this type of a situation and reevaluate and have our heart changed. And I think that would be harder than when this first started happening and people were able to see the changes from going from the freedom and the sovereignty, and to seeing that it's all being taken away from them, taken away from them, taken away from them. We were born into this is the reality, or the, I don't know, paradigm that we were born into, and to overcome that's big. I mean, that's
Huge, and they're a set of people that have been lied to and told that nothing would ever change or could ever change. That we would never get this far in our human evolution, especially not this quickly. Science tells us that, religion, everything tells us that. So it's going to take, there's some probably heads spinning right now, but yeah, we're here, and no soul will be left behind. So
nope.
we'll work it out.
Every being, has that divine breath of life. And if you just think about that, even if it doesn't matter what books you look into, or if you're breathing, the air you're breathing was breathed into the nostrils, from that one book from the very beginning by God Almighty Source. Okay, so if you're breathing, you're animated, you're moving about, you're a brother and sister of the rest of us with that divine spark within you. So
that's right, and
who'd have
as
thought?
long as you're breathing, you have a chance.
Who'd have thought it would happen in our lifetime? Even when this awakening process, how fast it's going now.
Amazing.
It really is.
We knew it, though. We knew it, and we knew it. But yeah, as long as you're breathing, you have a chance to make another choice. If what you found yourself in the midst of is not serving you, is causing you fear, you have that's what we are here to do, is give them another choice. We gave ourselves another choice with faith. We overcame many of these fearful narratives with faith, and now we can report that you can overcome any of that. The Holy Spirit, God, you can heal and overcome absolutely anything.
Mm-hmm. Take up your
God.
bed and walk.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
You're amazing. So.
It sounds simple, and we may be making it sound simple, but we're talking decades of a journey and experience, but the people that have woke up in 2015 and 2016 with the Mandela effect, they seem to be progressing along in such a manner so quick, like TikTok time. They don't even get a chance to absorb what's going on, what they just experienced, before they're experiencing something else, and it's just like you were saying, in the beginning you thought one way, and then as time has went on, it's changed, it's morphed, and that's normal. But have you, that's what gets me excited, is seeing how quickly that it's progressing for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's because of that light that's anchored in that, um, we stood in that light with faith, and more and more and more, it just spread, and that's how we're influencing the collective consciousness with love, and that's how dark is becoming light. Light is shining. The darkness might not understand the light, but the light is shining into every dark corner and transmuting it. And so we're influencing the collective consciousness at a faster and faster rate. So even the people waking up right now, they're able to kind of just step right into it and be a little more accepting, and we're able to answer some of their questions, so that they don't, it's good to speak, and fine, that's definitely a part of it, but it's just all designed so perfectly. It really is. And I think we're going to see that more and more. It's just the perfect design and the perfect plan, God's perfect plan. I see it every day.
And children that are being born now, or let's say 10 and under, who have been born in this time, are already coming in. They're being born into this new understanding. So it's the elderly, it's us older people that it took a little while to resonate. So I think, with the children and stuff, it's going to be like instant. They're going to be born under this new understanding and understanding that we're going through.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to say. Like, you took the words. I kept wanting to say that that's one of the biggest things that I think is going to change our new normal that you speak of, is that children will be born with the choice and knowing who they are without so-called sin, knowing who they are, knowing that they are
the same things that we were born with until it got programmed out of us.
Until it got programmed out. Exactly.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Are you going to be around for a bit?
Yeah, I'm going to stick around in the chat. I'm going to just...
Well, I'm gonna zip the show up, but I'm gonna
okay.
send you a link and at a different thing after I close the live show, so we can
Great.
catch up on the other levels. Yes,
Thank you
April and
so-
I are friends. We've been meaning to talk to each other for, gosh, almost 8 months now.
Yeah, I can't believe how fast it's gone by, but yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
so.
you.
But she's amazing. Like I said, her channel, The Fifth World, go check it out. And she's definitely an amazing person. And I want to do a quick shout out to the room, and then I will close this up. For now, I'm going to close the conference. It's going to be
Okay.
It's going to be a different link, but I'll send it to your email.
Great, and peace, love, blessings to all, healing to everybody, just healing, and just I hope to lift all of the fear, the unnecessary fear, and I just want to send love to each and everybody's heart in the name of the Holy Spirit. Thank you, Michelle. I'll talk to you soon. Love you.
I love you. Thank you for everything. Oh my goodness. You're amazing.
Bye.
Bye, hon. Wasn't she great, guys? Oh my gosh. I'm sorry it was only one call. I mean, we had several calls, but, they weren't actual calls to, add to the show. They were just trying to be disruptive. So, what I'm thinking I want to do is on Wednesdays, at least you can, bank on a Wednesday live call-in share show on, every Wednesday. I will do my best. I'm going to try and get into a regular rhythm to get back in touch and in contact with everybody, because everybody is so amazing, and the experiences, and they will all lead to the one truth. And this one being called the new normal is because that terminology is being thrown around so much. The new normal. What is your new normal? And try not to take it from what you're seeing on a screen, but by what you're actually experiencing with interacting with your surroundings. Are you seeing beautiful blue skies with puffy clouds and rainbows and flowers and birds singing, and what is going on in your physical realm? And realize that's kind of like, as April and I, or Fifth World and I, were talking about. I want to start saying your channel because so that way you can find her. The Fifth World and I were talking about is when you're doing things onto others, or judgments and things like that, it's a reflection of what's going on within yourself. Well, the same thing goes with what you're seeing around you in your surroundings. If you're seeing and experiencing long lines, hoarding, lack, shortage, fear, well, that's something that's in your heart, because somebody could be standing right next to you experiencing peace, love, plenty, and unconditional love for everybody. So that's how complex, and as it is said, man plans and God laughs. So anything that we think that they're trying to plan to do to try to keep it as the top of the pyramid type paradigm, it's unfolding before our eyes, and I just can't believe it's happened in such a fast TikTok amount of time. And for those who woke up 2015, 2016 to the Mandela effect, showing that this reality is fluid, to where they are today, it's amazing. People could have woke up a year ago and be, we all catch up with each other in such an expedited period. What a time to be alive. So remember, lose fear. If you need to, find something in the 3D. She had mentioned a channel that was in the chat that has a remedy that helps you with viruses. So then you can take that and help your body's cells fight off any kind of virus. And if you don't need that kind of stuff, and you understand and can talk to your body and get through it that way, then do it that way. Whatever your needs are going to be, whatever it is you think you need, you'll manifest. It'll be available to you, and we're going to get through this together. Hey, Long Reach One, how you doing, lady? And Janice Ames, sorry I didn't get to call you guys out in the beginning. Well, my Sky's 5D stuck around too. Well, I'm glad, and I thank you guys very, very much. I apologize about the interruptions, but I think I was on them pretty good. And look forward to more videos. I'll still continue doing that. And Wednesday about 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. I'd like to do it when my husband's gone to work, maybe 8 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, for going live with call-ins, so everybody can share what you guys have with everybody else, because it's so important that we come together in times like these. I love you. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your night. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.